So in this video we are going to solve some buffer overflow challenges, but these buffer overflow challenges contain some twists. So if we practice those twists, so we can improve our skill. So these are the custom vulnerable executables made by me, and we are going to solve a challenge called Mr. Knobs. Just 1 minute, guys. So okay, I'm back, guys. So now this custom executable called Mr. Knobs. Okay, guys, sorry, I had just a call. Now I am back, guys. Okay, let's see the viewer count. Okay, 4 viewers. Okay, 2 viewer. Okay, guys, in this video we are going to solve this Mr. Knobs.exe, and it uses the DLL file called ess func.dll. Okay, so I will say the pitfall first. So we saw so many buffer overflows, simple buffer overflow challenges. In that, what we do is we add some knobs, that means no instruction, no operation instructions, to just slide over the shell code. So we, in the hexadecimal, the knob is this one. In a hexadecimal it's 90 value. So in this binary, this 90 value is treated as a null byte. So whenever we send this knob value, it gets turned into the null byte, sorry. So this knob byte is turning into null byte. So what we are going to do and how to solve it is the challenge of this, is the main goal of this challenge. Okay, yes, if there is anyone, just say hi so that I can check myself that I'm not telling to any wars. Okay, so okay, guys, now I'm going to start my virtual machine, and I'm going to download these files. So guys, I don't have this git installed in my Windows, so I'm just downloading the zip file. Now I'm going to copy those two files, the exe file and the dll file. Okay, let me put like that. Okay, now I'm going to start my Windows XP virtual machine. Okay, hi bro, Captain Jack Sparrow, welcome back. And at the same time, I'm going to start my Kali Linux virtual machine. So guys, now my Windows XP has been turned on. Now I'm going to log into this as a Nikki user. So now I'm going to copy these two files into my Windows XP. Okay, let me try to copy again. Okay, fine. Now I am going to run this binary in Immunity Debugger. So the binary is in paused state, as you can see right bottom corner. Now I am going to run this binary. To do that, click on pause button. Now the binary is running on the port 9999. What we want to do is we want to find the IP address of that machine. Now type cmd, now press Windows R and type cmd and type IP config. Now we need to know this IP address in our Python script. Hello bro, Nirmit Shah and Vishal Patil. Hello bros, welcome to my channel and also welcome to my live stream. Thanks for keep supporting guys. I hope you enjoy this live stream. So guys, now I am going to copy that IP address into my Python script. Okay guys, now I have successfully copied. Now I can use my socket program to create a socket and to interact with it. You can also use Netcat to interact with it. Now I am going to import the socket module, import socket, and I am going to create a TCP socket. And also with an IP version 4. To do that, we need to call the socket function which is in the socket module, and we need to pass the type of the socket we need to create, and socket.AFINET, which stands for address family internet, and that represents the IP version 4. And also socket.sock underscore stream. Now we have successfully created the socket. We need to connect to the binary. To do that, we need to say socket object dot connect. We need to pass the tuple into that function, which consists of IP address and the port number. And the port number is 49. Now as soon as we connected to our server, we get the message from the server, that is banner grabbing. You all know. Let's try to print that banner. So we need to receive from the object say 2048 bytes, and I need to decode those bytes because it will be in the raw bytes. Now I am going to print that message, and lastly I need to close the socket. Now let's run our Python script. Now let's see if we get a banner or not. So there you go guys, it says welcome to vulnerable server, enter help for help, but I did not include the help, I just removed the help. What we are going to do is we need to send the buffer directory. So let's send the buffer directory without any fuzzing frameworks. We are doing manual fuzzing. To do that, say junk is equals to capital A, just junk bytes, say 500 bytes, and then I am going to say payload is equals to junk. I am just creating a new variable to add every entire payload, and I am going to encode this payload.encode of raw Unicode escape. So this encoding does prevent any characters from transforming from ASCII to Unicode or something any other transformations. Using this encoding, your bytes will be as it is into the immunity debugger. So I am going to send this using the socket object that send of payload. Now let me run the script, guys. Let me see the viewer count. So okay, there are currently 4 viewers. So let me run the script. Okay, let me run it again. So there is no overflow. EIP did not get overflow. So let's increase our payload. Let's say 1000 bytes. Yo bro, Syam Charan bro, welcome. Now let's run our payload again. So there you go, guys. It seems that we need to send some more junk bytes. So let's do that, because you can see just above the EIP we have this yes. So now we are going to say 1700 bytes of yes, and those will be overflow into our application. As you can see, guys, now EIP has been overflown with yes, which is 41 in hex, and also ESP also has been overflow with yes. So we have successfully overflowed the memory with our buffer, and also we can control EIP. But the problem is we don't know of out of these 1700 years, we don't know at which year the EIP has been overflown and at which ESP has been overflown. Because all these years are identical, we cannot find at particular offset the EIP overflow point. That's why we need to create a random unique pattern, so that yeah, Syam Charan, I will put Telugu live in Telugu channel in the evening. So now I am going to create the pattern, so that any 4 bytes of that pattern will not get repeated in the same pattern. Now we are going to creating 1700 bytes of unique pattern. You can use MSF Ruby MSF create Ruby files, pattern creator Ruby files, but it's so heavy to use Kali Linux in this virtual machine. That's why I'm going to generate using my own Python script. Now I'm going to copy paste that's unique pattern into my pattern variable. So guys, now instead of junk, we are going to send the pattern to see at which point we get the EIP and ESP overflow. So let me run the Python script, guys. Okay, it did not run. Okay, now we have overflown the program's memory with our pattern. Now let's see these 4 contents. Alright, now if you can see, the ESP value has been overflow with CWIU. If you right click on this and follow instack, it gives you the correct value and you can copy to clipboard. Now I am going to copy into my Python script and paste that address in the my script. Now at this point ESP contains these 4 bytes, and now let's rename it to ESP. Now the interesting thing is, if you just go up, just some scroll up from the ESP, you can see the EIP value exactly this one. This is the content of EIP, and we can just simply copy it and paste in our script. Okay guys, now in this pattern there is somewhere these 4 bytes and also these 4 bytes. I need to find the offset of those 4 bytes. To do that, we can say the print string dot index method. There is the index method. We can find the index of any particular string of substring in a main string. So let's do that. Let's say pattern dot index of, and I am going to copy this 4 bytes. Now again I am going to copy these 4 bytes. Now let's run our program and we can see the offsets of EIP and ESP. Okay, let me run this program again. So at 1012 and 1016 we have the offsets of EIP and ESP. Let me write here. So at EIP its value is 1016, EIP 1012 and ESP at 1016. So after 1012s you can put the value exactly as in EIP. Now after these B's we can override the contents of ESP exactly as it is in our script. Now we can just simply say another random junk2 into say 700. Now I am going to combine all these strings. Junk plus EIP plus ESP and junk2. Now I am going to append all this string into one single payload and I am going to send that. Now let's run our Python script. And there you go guys. Now ESP points to correctly 4 C's as expected, and also EIP points to EIP contains has 4 B's exactly as we expected. So instead of these B's we can send anything and that thing will be placed in the EIP. And since ESP can contain more than 500 bytes of characters, we can store the shellcode there and we can jump to that ESP and shellcode gets executed. So we need to find the jump ESP instructions. That's the basic one. And to find the jump ESP instructions, we need to use the Mona module. I have already installed the Mona. Now say Mona jump -R for register and ESP. Now this Mona module will find all the jump ESP instructions in the executable, and also the DLL files the executable is being used. And there you go guys, these are all the jump ESP instructions. and you can see the ess func.dll is the DLL file used by the program. Let's say let's copy this first one, and now let's copy paste it into our Python script, and we say that jump esp. Now let's write that address in here, but in a reverse byte order, because the contents will be going to the rectilinear byte order, so that we need to reverse these bytes, and after reversing in rectilinear byte order they will look exactly this address. Just reverse those bytes. Now we need to first write a0 instead of 62, and in the similar way we need to write 12 followed by 50 followed by 62, and there you go guys. Now after program has been overflow, EIP points to this value, and this address contains jump esp. The program flow jumps from that point to the esp, and the content at esp gets executed. Now let's verify that. We are putting 4 breakpoints, which is cc in hexadecimal, and we need to make sure that our breakpoints gets hit. Now let me make sure that program is running. Yes, it's running. Now let's view CPU. Okay, now let's run our Python script, and there you go guys. There you can see int3 command at this address, and if we step through this we can see the 3 breakpoints and last breakpoint. So we have successfully controlled the execution. Now we have to generate the Metasploit payload using Metasploit. Let me log into my Kali Linux machine. Okay guys, it takes some time. Okay, it's coming. Okay guys, now we are going to generate a reverse shell payload using the MSF Venom. So MSF Venom minus P for specifying the payload, and we are going to generate the normal reverse shell, so that netcat we can catch it with the netcat, and reverse underscore shell underscore TCP. Now we need to specify the L host and L port. And say L port is the 4 and we need to specify the bad characters here. I'm going to generate the default bad characters, null byte and carriage return and line field. And I'm going to say the architecture as 32-bit, and I'm going to say the format as C, so that we can directly import to our Python program as a variable. Okay guys, now the important twist is we need to put some knobs. Let's say 40 knobs, and then we need to place our shellcode here. Now let's do that. Okay, my terminal. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry guys, it's shell reverse TCP. I just forgot that. Shell underscore reverse underscore TCP. Now it will generate our payload, and we need to place the payload after these junk bytes. Sorry, after this ESP knob bytes. So guys, my payload has been generated without the bad characters. Now I am going to copy it and paste it in this variable. So now my payload has been created. Now let's run our program. Yes, exploiting. In few minutes, bro. Sam Charan, just wait 2 minutes and I will exploit that system. Okay, my payload has been created and I'm going to send this. And it has been terminated. We don't know the reason. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the breakpoint at jump ESP. So after I'm putting the breakpoint at this point, and so that I can step through this shellcode. Now you will understand guys the stepping through the process, and I'm pasting this and I'm putting the breakpoint at here. So whenever this instruction has been hit, the program execution gets stopped. Now let's run our Python script again. As you can see guys, breakpoint at ESS func and the address is this one. Now if you see the ESP, it points to this address and it contents are 0000. But why? Because these null bytes are the bad characters of this challenge, and those because the program is transforming these /x90 into the 00. That's why this is our exploit has been broken. Now what's the solution guys? Okay, I will tell the solution. Now if you go to Google and say NOP instruction, so if I say NOP instruction, and then if you say what is NOP, okay, in the Wikipedia it says NOP instruction is a no operation and it performs nothing. So guys, the NOP instruction is we can place something instead of NOP, and that something will does nothing. So suppose say there is an exchange register, namely XCHG. If I say exchange EAX comma EBX, if I say exchange EAX comma EBX, what this instruction does is it takes the contents of these two registers and swaps the both registers. That means if EAX contains 1 and EBX contains 2, what this instruction does is it places the 2 in the EAX and the 1 in EBX. So the contents of EBX gets placed into EAX and the contents of EAX gets placed into EBX. Now what we can do is, if we say XCHG EAX comma EAX, so we are just swapping the contents of EAX with the EAX. That means we are taking the value of EAX and putting it in the EAX. So that does actually nothing, because if you take and put something, it's actually the same. So this instruction can be used as a NOP bytes. Now what I'm going to do is I need the opcode for this bytes for this instruction. Now I'm going to use the Shellstorm website. Okay. Now I'm going to use the Shellstorm website, which contains the online assembler and disassembler. Now what you're going to do is type the instruction and choose the architecture. In our case is 32-bit and click on assemble. Okay, let's write me in the small. So there you go guys. If we write XCHG EBX comma EBX, we get this opcode. Now let me copy this and paste it in here. Now this is simply the NOP byte, and we can say 40 of these NOP bytes. Let's say 20 are enough. And after hitting the jump ESP, these instructions gets executed, and these instructions obviously does nothing, and then our shellcode gets executed. Okay guys, now I think it's everything perfect. Let me run the listener. Now I'm listening on my Kali Linux machine. If I run the exploit, I should get a reverse shell. And there you go guys, we got the reverse shell Windows XP. And if I say dir, and there you go guys, that is whole desktop files of the desktop has been shown. So the objective of this challenge is not to get the reverse shell, but to use the number of ways of the NOP instruction. So this is one of the way to use the NOP instruction, XCHD, EBX and EBX, so that we can, if any application turning NOP into the null byte, we can use this instruction. So guys, we have pawned the application successfully. You can see the reverse shell here. So any doubts guys? If you have any doubts, I will tell you guys. So there is no one online guys. So guys, shall I end the stream, or if you have any doubts, I will ask you guys. Okay, ask guys any doubts, or I will just end the session in 5 minutes. So there is no one, guys. So there are 3 viewers. Okay, reverse shell means we send the code to the victim machine and we go on listening on our own machine, and the victim connects back to us. That is reverse. If we connect to the victim, it's called bind shell. If the victim connects to us, it's reverse, because the victim is going to connect to our server. That's why it's called reverse shell. So any more doubts, guys? So there are 3 viewers. So shall I end the session, guys? Okay, I'm going to end the session, and I will also render the video and I upload to the YouTube, guys. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll meet you in the next live stream.